Hello everyone, welcome back to the channel. Today's video is going to be the next in my series of behaviour and training solutions videos where I look at your submissions and your problems and come up with solutions on them based on my training experience. Also, I'll soak their opinion as well, just to get another perspective and try and give you the best solutions I possibly can. I try to do these as I know not everyone can afford a consultation of our business, and I want to give you as much free advice as possible to help everyone, because ultimately me and Sophie do this to try and help parrot owners and to try and improve parrots' lives. If you do need a consultation, you can check out our business website, which is bestbehavedbirds.com, and we can offer more one-on-one sort of help and tailored advice. However, if not, then I will be doing more of these videos in the future, and I will let you know on my community tab when I'm going to be having submission windows for them. So if you're unfamiliar with the format of these videos, I am going to go through individual case studies, talk about the problem, show you the bird in question, and then also go on to talk about all the solutions that I've come up with to help with the issue. So without further ado, Chip's going to go and have a snack and I'm going to get started. So my first submission is for a Quaker parrot who's called Folly, and Folly's problem is he is very aggressive towards the owner's parents. He's very bonded and also loves the person's partner. However, as soon as he sees the parents, they'll attack them, and because of this, he's out the cage only when the parents aren't around because he attacks them. Apart from this, he's a very amazing bird, loves his training, loves his scritches. He's got a lovely diet of fresh chop and tops pellets. He gets plenty of sleep, and he has a large flight cage with lots of natural purchases and toys. Thank you very much for your submission. So let's talk about some of the solutions that I've come up with based on the information you've given me. So first, it sounds like Folly is either a bit scared or not very bonded to your parents, and sadly this gets a bit worse the less time your parents spend with Folly and interacting with him. And also, if he's always in the cage when they're there, that's not always going to be ideal as well. Now, there's a few ways you can start to approach this problem, but sadly almost all of them are going to involve more interaction with your parents. So that's going to mean they're going to need to be a bit brave and a lot more interactive with Folly, because that's the only way that relationship is going to improve. There are a variety of techniques which we're going to talk about right now, and Chip has very strong opinions on this as well. So the best way for your parents to start improving their relationship with Folly is by simply providing high value treats through the bars of the cage whenever they're around and seeing him. Obviously, initially, it may not be best that he's out and about when you start repairing their bond with him, but that is the best place to start. So literally just every time your parents are in the room, they can get a high value treat, maybe a favourite seed or fruit or something, a little tiny piece of fruit by the way, and then pop it through the bars of the cage for him to take. And that will start building a positive association with your parents. After that, you may want to do some targeting through the bars. So your parents will be doing some target training with Folly through the bars of the cage. And this is beneficial in two ways. One, that they're actively engaging with him, doing training and giving him treats, which is further improving their relationship. But on top of that, he's going to be hopefully learning to interact with that target stick softly, which I'll talk about in another sort of mini consultation later in this video. So he will pair the positive association and also pair targeting softly on that stick with your parents, which will improve his behaviour towards them. So another way your parents can approach this after they've done this through protected contact through the bar, so he's not getting stressed, they're not getting hurt, is eventually by letting Folly back out in the room. And something they can do is just protect themselves by wearing a hoodie or just being in a room and sitting stationary and doing nothing, just literally being there. And it can be annoying, but sadly having a parrot is a complex thing, so they may just have to do this in short bursts initially if they're not very tolerant of it, maybe 5 to 10 minutes just sitting there with Folly out and about in the room and not doing anything. And that's to teach Folly that they're not a threat, they're just part of the furniture basically. And eventually these two things will pair together, the positive stuff within the cage and the inactivity out of the cage, to hopefully improve the relationship. And this will be partly your responsibility as well. If your parents agree to this, when they're out and about in a room, it'll be your job to remove Folly from them if he's being aggressive and redirect him to something else. Because obviously they won't be able to react to this because they'll be protecting themselves and being as inactive as possible. It's proven to work. It's proven to work with Kipling in my case and with other clients, so it's something well worth trying. Now remember, as I've said, all of this is going to involve your parents getting involved. Through the bars is the easiest way of doing things. Not reacting when he bites as well is going to be very important, and just getting involved a little bit. And I know that can be annoying if it's your pet and not theirs, but hopefully they want to be involved, and then they can enjoy having a good relationship with him as well, because we call it the 60-40 rule. So our parrots tend to favour one person, and you want that about 60% to them and 40% to the other. It happens with couples, all sorts of things. If that goes too far one way, or there's an aggression issue with one partner, the other person needs to redress that balance and get that scale tipping in the right direction. So hopefully this helps you. I've tried to treat it a little bit like consultation, so I've gone into a lot of depth here. And yeah, let me know how things get on. So my next submission is for a lovely little conure called Sky, very cute, and Sky's problem is basically plucking. Sky's plucking all the feathers off his tummy. The owner's not sure why and is obviously very concerned. Now, with feather plucking issues, the very first thing I recommended, I know I said this in the email, but just for everyone else's benefit, is eliminate any medical or physical reasons for this. You know, you do not want to sort of go down a behavioural route if there's a medical issue. So the very first thing you want to do is get them checked by an avian vet, or eliminate any potential skin issues, etc, etc. Once you've done that, then we can start talking about everything else, which I'll do right now. So if it's not a medical issue, then it's primarily going to be down to stress, anxiety, boredom, or in some cases hormones as well, which basically feeds into stress. Those are the primary reasons behind plucking. And if you've got one of those reasons, you need to identify the cause of it as well. That is highly effective and also very useful. If you can work out what the cause of the behaviour is, then you can start thinking of some solutions and maybe looking at environmental factors. For example, you mentioned you have other conures. Is there a bullying issue? Is there a sort of, as you said, maybe a jealousy issue? Is there more bonding work needs to be done between them? That is something that's well worth looking into, because often if you can address the stress cause or the root cause of it, the plucking starts to improve. In terms of mitigating the effects of the plucking, you can offer more baths as well to help soothe any skin irritation. You can take Sky into a steamy bathroom, which I think I may have suggested in the email already, which all that involves, you noisy boys, all that involves is basically steaming up your bathroom or using a humidifier, steaming up a room, then taking Sky in there to sort of help soothe any skin irritations there. I also recommend avian teas. They can be very effective in helping with minor skin issues. In relation to dietary supplements, it's worth providing a bit more protein in the diet, and the best way to do that is normally through peas. You can also provide a bit of egg once a week, and you want that to be just plain boiled or plain scrambled, no oil, no salt, nothing, just that, because that'll help sort of rebuild the feathers there, because the protein will probably be a bit lacking. You can also look at redirecting the behaviour as well, because redirection is also very useful by sort of preening toys in the cage, training Sky to do that, redirecting any plucking behaviour with through trainings to keep her active and occupied, and these things will hopefully help with that too. The last thing I can recommend as well is fresh herbs are very good, especially mint. That would be very good, but hopefully all these will help Sky, and let me know how Sky's getting on. Pickles insisted in coming out, so here she is to say hello. She's very keen on being part of the video, aren't you? Next up, we have a submission for Freddie, who's a lorikeet, and Freddie is a very affectionate bird, but he's a little bit too affectionate sometimes. He'll nibble, bite fingers, arms, clothing, and when he gets overexcited, sometimes even the face. I tried to calm him down, he's very persistent, but so far only thing that helps is putting him back in the cage, which I'd rather not use. So what else can I do to help him calm down? So the boys are back on me now, while Pickles is off snacking because they just can't make up their mind where they want to go. Aren't you noisy little monsters, honestly? You're so noisy. Off you go. Righty, so back on topic. It's really good that you've identified that putting back in the cage isn't ideal, because that's not something you want to do. It kind of links to punishment, and you don't want to punish any parrot because they will start associating it in the wrong way. However, that's not to say that if it's really, really difficult for you and he's just biting loads, that you can't pop him back in for a little break for yourself. It's just you do not want to be punishing him because it's no good. But I understand that we all have our limits sometimes. So lorikeets, like conures, can be very nibbly and love to explore with their beaks, like a lot of parrot species, but a little bit more so. They're very cute. I worked with them in the past. I absolutely love them. And I feel that it's less about calming and more about training with Freddie. I think training will benefit a lot more, although I do have some calming tips as well for you. So before I get into the training, which is going to be the bulk of it, I'll talk about the calming thing, supplements. You can provide various avian teas, you can provide chamomile, you can provide some fresh mint as well. I'd normally recommend hemp seeds, but because it's a lorry, probably not the best idea because obviously their diet's a bit different. So you want to be sort of using those things as calming supplements, because your Freddie can have them perfectly safely. They'll be quite good for him. And in some ways, they're quite beneficial to diet anyway. So the first thing that I want to talk about is use your biting practice. That is not reacting. I know it can be annoying sometimes, but reacting is bad. If it gets too much, just getting Freddie and popping him in a neutral area, waiting 5 seconds, then giving him an opportunity to earn a reinforcement, for example, a target or a trick, whatever you want to do, and giving him a reinforcement. So it'd be helpful to identify what his favourite treats are. Obviously, most of the time for Lorries, that'll be fruits or a bit of his nectar, depending on how you want to do it. It is down to you to sort of identify that, and obviously I've done treat hierarchy videos as well, which you can refer to if you need to. So once you're not reacting, I know how difficult that is. The best technique, which I think works, which has worked and then works the best with almost all parrots, is soft targeting. Now you've got your target training, you know what you do with that. You get your stick and you get fish to yell, you're gonna come over it. So you got your stick and you get your parrot to target onto it. Fish doesn't know how to target on my finger, but that's a good example. With soft targeting, all you're doing is bringing that in from an extreme range, from a bit further away, and you're getting them to ever so lightly touch the end of that stick with either the end of their beak or their tongue, and then you reinforce for it. The purpose of it is basically to teach them to be soft in to be soft in their interactions with you, and after a lot of repetition, they do start to work it out, you know, that interaction with you should be soft, any training with you should be soft, and you can then transfer it maybe to try and test it with your finger or nose if you're feeling very brave. That is normally one of the most effective techniques. It's worked with all our parrots, and it works with a lot of clients' parrots. It's oh so simple, but oh so useful. Also, if you do provide treats, try and do it from extreme range. So again, Freddie's having to reach for them, which will also encourage soft interactions. 2 other things I want to mention as well. When Freddie's out and about, make sure you've got something else for him to do, something fun, maybe a foraging activity, maybe a toy. For example, basically for a lorikeet, it'd probably be a toy, a foraging toy where he has to work to get his treats. You may have to train him to do that, but once he has that and he can enjoy that, it's a lot more fun. Make sure there's plenty of stuff in the cage that he can chew on, because it may be the case that he's just chewing the behaviour because of age or hormones, but it could also be because he's just not getting that natural behaviour out. So give him some alternatives to chew. And then finally, if you haven't trained targeting, highly recommended, but train a trick or use targeting to redirect him. If he's going to a biting session, offer him the alternative to biting. That can be a trick or a redirection, because if he's got the opportunity to earn something or bite you, most of the time many parrots will choose to do the trick because the reinforcement's much more valuable, and that normally is most effective. Hopefully this helps with Freddie. Like with everyone else, let me know how you get on. So my last submission is from a very cute cockatiel named Slushy, and Slushy has a problem with eating her pellets. She's not very keen on eating them, would rather eat seed from training. The owner thinks that is because there's more seed provided through training, and that's worrying the owner as well. Understandably, because, you know, we want our parrots to eat. Now the first thing I want to mention is pellets. I don't think pellets are an essential part of the diet. I've got a good video with Dr. Jason Crean on the topic, which I'll leave a card for now, but that's up to you if you want to continue feeding them. I feel that a fresh, balanced diet with lots of whole foods, lots of fresh foods, some seed as well, because seed is beneficial in small quantities. It gets demonised a lot, exactly, Scampy, because it was fed like all seed, and now people are realising some seed is good, but you want a bit of mix of seed, lots of other dry things, lots of fresh food, herbs, etc. So just keep that in mind. Maybe you want to start transitioning to that, but it's up to you. With regards to pellets, maybe you could change the brand as well. Tops and Harrison's are quite good. It's worth considering that in case it's the pellets that your cockatiel isn't favouring. Now, with regards to getting your cockatiel to eat pellets, one great way is basically you eating them yourself, and that's not you eating actual pellets. It's like communal feeding. So you'll eat your snack, have your lunch, and then your cockatiel wants to eat at the same time. It's quite an effective technique. If our parrots see us eating, they want to try it. You can also use it for converting to fresh. It's really effective. It's really important to do that because they are flock animals, they do enjoy it, and you may be able to encourage her to try all sorts of things through that, including eating her pellets. Another thing you can do is make sure you manage your portions as well. When you're doing your training, try and use small pieces for reinforcement, for example for millet, and try and make sure the favourite treats aren't in the diet. So for example, you have millet that's only for training, but you have a little bit of sunflower seed in the diet because the cockatiel doesn't really mind it. You can also, because of the way they are, they love their seed, they love foraging on the ground, encourage your cockatiel to forage more. So, you know, have a foraging tray at the bottom of the cage, have your pellets and seeds in there, in toys, so your cockatiel's having to work for it and it's more fun. You know, let her enjoy doing so. Our cockatiels love pecking around on the ground, so sometimes I'll sprinkle a little bit in a foraging tray in their cage and let them enjoy it. They've also got a substrate base they like to peck through. Making our parrots work for their food through training, but also through foraging and independent play can be a lot of fun for them and encourage the sort of behaviours you want to see. Also, another thing you can try is providing the pellets in the morning only, and then doing your training a little bit later, because Slushy may be hungrier and more inclined to try them. You can also do this with the fresh food too. Another thing you can do, which I've touched on a little bit already, is you can diversify the diet a little bit. So when you're providing your pellets, have some seed in there, not too much because obviously then Slushy won't touch the pellets, but also have maybe some dried vegetables in there, some alternative seeds and grains, yeah, scampi, and all sorts of bits in there, because then Slushy will have a lot of different things to eat and try, and it won't just be the seed, because obviously seed on its own is no good. Pellets on their own, I'd argue, is no good, but having lots of different things will help Slushy out. So I really hope these tips help with Slushy. If you, again, like with all the other tips, please feel free to get in touch with any progress, and I'll try and give some extra advice if I can, but obviously there's lots going on. So do drop a comment and let me know how things are going on. So everyone, thank you very much for watching this video. I hope you found it useful and enjoyed it. Thank you very much for those who submitted. I especially hope you guys found it useful and beneficial. I do plan to do more of these videos in the future, so please do keep an eye out on my community tab for submission windows. I do have some criteria for submission, so you can't just leave a comment. Please read that carefully, because it makes my life so much easier and I can actually sort through and do things properly. Any comments, please feel free to drop them down below, and I hope everyone found it useful. But in the meantime, from me and Pickles and Scampi, who are settling down now, relaxing, take care and have a really nice day.